Hey friends, welcome back to Living in His Purpose podcast. Okay, we're going to be honest here, always honest here. Let's just go ahead and name the thing that most women feel, but rarely admit out loud. Or maybe we're starting to, because I feel like I'm hearing things like this a lot lately. Christmas has a way of bringing out a version of you that doesn't quite match the woman that you've become the other 11 months of the year. And you know what I mean? You walk into a room, or you pick up the phone, or you step back into a familiar space, and suddenly something shifts. It's kind of subtle at first. Your shoulders may drop a little, your voice gets a little quieter, your confidence slips just a hair, and you catch yourself thinking, why do I feel different? Why do I not feel like myself right now? And it's almost like there's this holiday version of you that just shows up without your permission. The one who feels smaller, more cautious, more unsure, more responsible for everyone else's comfort. And the crazy part is you've grown, you've healed, you're working on yourself. You've been renewing your mind, setting those boundaries, getting clearer about who you are. But the minute December hits, it can feel like the old you starts knocking again. Now, if that resonates with you at all, I need you to know you're not imagining it. You're not overreacting. You're not failing at growth. You're human. And what you're feeling actually makes sense because Christmas, with all its nostalgia and expectations and family dynamics, has a way of brushing up against the old part of us. Not because you're going backward, but because there are still places in you that God is strengthening. So today we're going to talk through why this happens, why you don't feel like yourself at Christmas, and how to stay anchored in the identity that God has been forming in you. This isn't about holiday stress. It's about identity. It's about the tension between who you've been and who you're becoming. And friend, you are not doing this wrong. You're just becoming aware. Here's something we don't always have language for. The holidays don't just stir up memories. In those memories, we have reactions that we haven't felt in a very long time. And it usually happens before you even realize it. You step into that familiar place and suddenly you feel your mind anticipating things long before anyone asks anything of you. You start reading the room the way that you used to. You brace for certain reactions. You rehearse how to keep things smooth or light or not a problem. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just this subtle mental shift where you're suddenly more alert, more cautious, more aware of other people's moods than your own. And part of why this is so jarring is because the people around you are often responding to an outdated version of who you are. They talk to you like you haven't grown. They treat you like you're still the kid or the helper or the quiet one or the responsible one. They pull up dynamics you don't live by anymore. And it creates this really strange tension, almost like your present self and your past self are standing in the same room trying to figure out who gets to lead. And that internal clashing, that moment where you feel stretched between who you are now and who you used to be, that is an identity trigger. It's not a failure, it's not a setback, it's just a moment in time where the old story bumps into the new one. And the beautiful, messy truth is you get to choose which one has your attention now. So let's talk about what's actually happening inside you in those moments. Let's just say this plainly. You don't slip back into old roles because you're weak, okay? You're not weak. If you are working on yourself, you are strong. You are strong. You slip back because your body and your mind remember things that your spirit has already outgrown. Those roles were learned. They were not chosen. And when you step into a familiar environment, those old scripts start running in your head without you even noticing. And it can look something like this. Suddenly, you become the peacemaker again. You start feeling responsible for everyone else's mood. You shrink your voice because you don't want to be too much. Over-functioning because that's how you used to feel valuable. Sitting on the sidelines because you were labeled the quiet one. Carrying conversations so no one gets uncomfortable. Taking on work that isn't yours because you always did. And here's the thing. Your mind isn't trying to sabotage you. It's just trying to keep you safe. We have got to stop seeing our minds and our bodies as the enemy because they're not. They're trying to help us. It's your mind is using the old tools that it remembers, not the new identity that you're walking in. So think about it. If you learned as a child that staying calm kept the peace, your body will try to protect you by keeping you quiet now. If you learned that your worth was tied to being helpful, your hands will start doing before your heart ever stops to ask, do I want to? If you learned that being invisible kept you from being targeted or criticized, your voice will start to fade before you even open your mouth. You're not going backward. You're being pulled into a story that you didn't write. And a lot of these roles were formed in moments where you did not have the power. You did not have the voice, the confidence, or the clarity that you have today. That's why they feel so automatic. They were survival strategies, but they were temporary and protective. So let me say that again because it matters. Survival roles are not identity. They are adaptations. They are coping mechanisms. They're reflexes formed when you were doing the best that you could with what you had. But now you're a grown woman. You have healed things. You are working on your mindset. You've learned boundaries, or at least the idea of them, and you're practicing them. You're putting them into place. You've met God in places younger you didn't know how to reach. So of course there's tension. Of course it feels like two versions of you are colliding. That's the identity gap. The old you trying to run the show and the healed you saying, actually, I don't live there anymore. And friend, that tension is not failure. That tension is actually evidence of growth. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to feel that tension. So you can recognize what's happening. You can notice the old role trying to take the lead. Awareness is step one. Authority is step two. So this year, you get to choose which voice gets to lead, the old you or the woman that God has been transforming. Identity gets revealed under pressure, but identity can also be healed under pressure. And here's what I mean by that. Pressure doesn't create those tender places. It simply brings them to the surface. It reveals where you still feel like you have to earn love. It reveals where you still feel small or unseen. It reveals where old family labels still sit on your shoulders. It reveals the parts of you that God is inviting into deeper truth. Not to shame you, but to strengthen you. Because here's something that women forget. You cannot heal what you cannot see. And you usually can't see it until life gets real, until the room feels familiar, until your body recognizes old patterns, until that one comment from that one person hits that one nerve that you thought was gone. That's the pressure. And in God's hands, pressure becomes a place of formation, not failure. He is always working it out in us. It's a process. So think about scripture for a minute. Israel was shaped in the wilderness under pressure. David's confidence in God grew in caves under pressure. Peter's identity was restored after his denial under pressure. Paul discovered strength in weakness under pressure. God has a pattern. He doesn't wait for the calm seasons to do identity work. I really wish he did. It'd make my life so much more easier, but he doesn't. He does it right in the places that feel the most tender. Why? Why do you think he does that? Because that's when we're weak. And the Bible says, when you are weak, I am strong, right? He's strong. He's there. Now, Christmas, with all its emotions, its memories, its expectations, its family dynamics, it becomes a kind of spiritual MRI. It shows you what's healed and what's ready for the next layer of healing. Not so God can say, see, you're still struggling, but so he can say, hey, I'm right here. Let's work on this together. Pressure doesn't pull you backward. Pressure pushes the real you to the surface, the one that God has been forming all along, the one who's learning to speak truth, the one who's practicing her boundaries, the one who's letting go of those old harmful labels, the one who's stepping out of survival identities and into a redeemed identity. Pressure reveals the cracks, but God is the one who fills them with truth and courage and identity and grace and love and peace and patience, and the list goes on. So Christmas doesn't undo your growth. Don't let it do it. It's simply showing you the places that God is still tending, gently, intentionally, patiently. Okay, so here are a few simple, grounded things that help keep you steady. Because when we get into those moments where those emotions are just reactionary, we feel like we don't have a way to deal with them, and you do. So here's your help. Right now, before you go into those family gatherings, you have something that you can hold on to. Here are a few simple grounded things that are going to help keep you steady. Number one, notice the shift. The moment that your body gets tight or your voice gets small, just acknowledge it. Number two, name the old role. I'm slipping into the fixer. I'm shrinking. I'm protecting myself. Naming it gives you authority. Number three, pause, breathe, breath, so important, and pray. God, remind me who I am right now. Number four, anchor in truth. Pick a verse or a phrase that centers you. Here's a couple for you. Isaiah 43:1. God calls me by my name. I belong to him. It's simple, it's grounding, and it's identity focused. You belong to the Most High God. This is perfect for steadying your heart when you feel small. How about 2 Corinthians 5:17? I am not the old me. God has made me new. This is a reminder that that holiday version is not your true identity. Galatians 4:7, I am God's daughter, not a slave to old roles. This one breaks that emotional pull of people pleasing and old family labels. Number 5, set one gentle boundary. Okay, it does not have to be big, just something small, something that you can just pull yourself out of the situation that you're in. Even one small boundary can keep you anchored. You get to show up as the grown woman that God has formed, not that younger version who learned to survive. This is what it could look like, okay? I'm going to step outside for a quick breath, okay? Just something you can say in a room. It's not judgmental. It's just pretty objective. I'm just going to step outside for a quick breath. Like, it's hot in those houses when everybody's cooking and talking. This is just a simple timeout that's going to interrupt that old role and give your body space to reset. Space to reset. Okay. Here's another one. Here's another way that you can set a small boundary. Very neutral, takes you out of the moment, but it's a boundary. You can say something like this. I'm not able to talk about that right now, but I'm happy to visit about something a little lighter. It's clear and kind. It's gently protecting your emotional space while still keeping connection open. You're not saying, I don't want to talk to you right now. You're not going to be harsh like that. It's just, hey, let's just keep it light today. Today is a holiday. This is a good festive time. Let's just keep it light. And you're setting that boundary. You're saying, hey, I don't want to go there with you, but I don't want to not talk with you either. Here's another example. I'm going to sit this one out, but thanks for asking. So this could be for a conversation, for a task, for a family debate, or a role that you used to fill automatically. It's soft and respectful, and it gently reminds your mind and your body that you're no longer responsible for managing everything. Okay, now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, this is exactly where I've been living, you are not alone. This identity work is deep work. It's holy work. It's brave work. And this is why January's identity reset exists. This is why I've created this package to help you stay rooted in who God says you are. Even in the moments that you feel shaky, there's no pressure, there's no push. I'm just opening a door if you need support, and I would love to support you with this. I feel deeply that we lose our identity, our sense of who we are in this really overwhelming high pressure, fast paced world. And with coaching, there's a space just for you to process this quietly, assuredly, with tools that work. Okay, I just want to remind you, you are not who you used to be. Even your yesterday, who you used to be. You are not that person anymore. Even if old environments wake up those old thoughts, even if others respond to an old version of you, even if you feel the tension of past roles tugging at you, I want you to know something. God sees the real you, the healed you, the growing you, the woman in process who is learning to stand in her identity. This Christmas, you get to show up as her. Be an example, be a light, show others what it looks like when you grab hold of what God has for you and how that can transform your life, even if it's one small moment at a time. Okay, friends, so this was the first of a couple episodes that we're going to talk about hard emotions at Christmas time. Christmas just brings up a whole lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of expectations in Christmas. We're supposed to be happy and joyful and happy we're spending all this money for gifts that people may or may not like. Happy to have the moments with the family that sometimes we don't get along with. It's hard. It's really hard. Or maybe you don't have that family anymore for one reason or the other. It's even harder. So we're going to talk about some of these hard things. We're going to talk about how to settle yourself, where to get that truth, and how to move forward. All right, friend, thanks for staying with me and enjoy your holidays. And remember, you are who God says you are. I love you, friend. See you later. As you move through this season, I just want to encourage you to pay attention to what's being stirred in you, the way you respond, the thoughts that feel louder, the places that feel very tender or heavy. Those moments are not random. They often reveal something about your identity, how you see yourself, who you believe you have to be, and what you've been carrying for far too long. That's the heart behind my winter coaching package, the Identity Reset, Begin with the Roots. It's a guided program created as a gentle space for women who feel ready to explore those beliefs and begin strengthening their identity in truth rather than pressure. If your heart has been nudged while listening today, you can learn more in the show notes. No rush, just an open door when you're ready.